Hey team, I hope you're doing well. Today we are organising my yarn stash. I need to have a big sort out of my yarn collection. It's getting a bit out of hand. Basically, I've made some new yarn purchases which don't fit in here, and also I am so paranoid about moths. I don't know about you, but I am honestly petrified of getting moths in the house. And this cabinet, which I'll chat to you about in a second, is not the most moth proof. I just want to have a reorganise of all the yarn I've acquired over the past year and a bit, sort it all out, make it fully moth proof, and hopefully make it a much better, more organised system, because right now this is not working for me. Currently I have most of my yarn stored in this cabinet. This was actually our next door neighbour's cabinet. It's an amazing like mid-century glass and wooden storage kind of sideboard. They were getting rid of this and they'd just put it out on the street with a little sign written on it saying free, like to a good home. And I looked at it and I was like, that would make the best storage for my yarn, because you can see everything, it looks beautiful, and it fits so nicely into our home decor anyway. So I got my husband to bring it in, and ever since then, yeah, I've just been chuffed with this. But there are lots of gaps that moths could get in. They can get in like through the glass here and through the side, and the drawers in here I need to basically like put some nails in, because I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but they're a little bit loose. So I placed an order for some of these moth-proof storage boxes, and so my special fancy new yarn will be going into here, and I'll show you where I'll be putting them because it's also in this room. So basically, like, yeah, I just want it super organised. I want to know exactly what I've got. I'm going to, as I go, I'm going to photograph everything and put it into my Ravelry stash page so I can see exactly what I've got and how much I've got of each, and I think that will really help me when it comes to planning future projects, and also generally just have a nice tidy and a nice refresh and make it fully moth proof. Alongside these boxes, of which I got 4, I will leave them linked down below. They're actually a really great size and they feel really sturdy and good quality. So alongside those, I also made some other purchases. I have got some bags. What are you doing? You're not jumping up there, Maurice. Oh my god. I've also made the purchase for some lavender bags. Apparently moths hate lavender. I'm going to add those into all my storage systems as well. I've also got some cedar oil, and my plan is to add some drops of this onto some cotton wool and also put it in the storage. Apparently moths don't really like this either. I don't know how true this is. They might be kind of like old wives' tales, who knows. And then I also got some storage bags, like moth-proof storage bags for some of my handmade jumpers that I really don't want getting eaten, and also some smaller bags. And these, I'm a bit disappointed that these aren't completely see-through, because that would have made it so easy to see what was inside, but they're kind of opaque. You'll be able to see a little bit of what's inside, but not fully. But they also come with some labels that I can write on as well, so I can see what's inside. I think these are storage for either clothes, but I'm planning to add some yarn into them as well. And I made special care that there weren't any holes in these as well. So, organisation system. Let me show you what is behind you. Behind the tripod, there is also some yarn that needs organising. So this at the moment is full of yarn that's been left over from projects that I have complete. So this is like scrap yarn. I've got almost a full ball here of the Sadness Garn Tin Pigint in Jolly Blue that is left over from my porcelain sweater. So I don't really want to get rid of any of these scraps because I know that I will use them at some point. I've been making a list on Ravelry, like a bundle of patterns that are perfect for using up scraps. So I'm really excited to cast on some of those this year. If you would like a full video on the patterns that I'm most excited about, do let me know and I can film that soon. And then I also have a huge box. This was a big box of knitting for Olive that I had to order, and then I've also just placed some of my very special hand-dyed yarns that I've recently purchased in here, just just keeping them all together before I properly store them. I also have some here that I was using to film some content with recently. But yeah, this just also needs a massive sort. So I don't know if you can tell, but I'm just very excited about this whole process. Really looking forward to going through everything, seeing exactly what I've got, because I'm sure there are some things in here that I have forgotten about. And I am planning to still use this. I think this will become more of a display yarn storage case, perhaps with some, I like the kind of bright coloured ones here. They are for a crochet project that I haven't started yet because I still need to teach myself how to crochet. But some of my more affordable yarns that I'm not so worried about getting ruined are gonna stay in this cabinet. But I can show you what it's looking like now. So in this side, I've got some knitting books and knitting patterns. I've also got some crochet projects. And up here, I've got some like little scrappy bits of yarn left over. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with those. And then some knitting kind of tools, some cords, a bubble maker that I still need to use, and some elastic. I've also got loads of double pointed needles, crochet hooks, and I purchased loads of these ball winders for when you're doing colour work or intarsia, which I haven't used yet. I haven't needed to use those, but I guess they're kind of handy to have. We have got a lot in here and it is all about to tumble out. Oh, I would also quite like to talk you through what I've got and what projects I originally purchased all this yarn for, because I'm really good at buying yarn only for when I have a project in mind. Otherwise I know I'm just gonna either not buy enough or buy too much and have loads left over, and I'm not gonna know what to do with. So I really enjoy like finding a pattern and purchasing for that specific pattern. So I do have a project for most things in here, apart from a couple which were gifted to me. Not by brands, but by my husband when I got into knitting. So yeah, this will be like a deep dive into my yarn collection and an organisation. I definitely know that in one of these boxes I would like to place all my favourite, like very precious to me hand-dyed yarns that will be kind of irreplaceable if moths get to them. So let me talk you through some of those. First up, I have two skeins of the Sakami hand-dyed merino. I'm really excited to use these up. They are going straight into the box, and I've also got the matching mohair here, so that's going in as well. And for those, I'm going to be making the Lento sweater. These boxes aren't that roomy, as you can see. Those three skeins have taken up quite a lot of room, but I'm hoping we can squash them down. I could also put them in a bag like this and kind of vacuum them shut, so they're definitely moth proof. I've also got two skeins here of a Sislerajet hand-dyed merino in the shade Candy Clouds. This is what I'm going to be using to make my Monday sweater by Petite Knit. I've got another ball of this, but it's already caked up, and I use that to do my gauge swatch, so very excited about that. And they, oh my god, they just go so nice in there. You would have seen a couple of these already, by the way, if you watched my Unravel festival vlog, because I bought a couple of these at that yarn festival. I had such a nice day out with some new knitting friends. I vlogged it all, so you would have seen this already. This is the Mamie Flory mohair in the Swizzles Factory colourway. I'm going to make a shawl or some sort of open gauge top with that, and then my very special Camels yarn in this kind of beautiful textured bluey green, which I'm going to be using to make the 7 PM tank. This is linen fingering weight yarn, so it's baby alpaca, linen and silk, and it feels like a dream. I definitely do not want any moths getting to that. Okay, a couple more hand-dyed ones. We've got this James Makes yarn. Oh my god, I love this. Can you tell I'm like a massive fan of these like rainbow pastel shades? I'm just so drawn to them, which is really weird because I don't really tend to wear many colours like this, but I'm a little bit of a magpie for pretty skeins like that. So that is going in, and this is what it is looking like so far. So I picked up a pack from my first ever yarn festival, which was called the Waltham Abbey Yarn Show, and I really wanted to experiment with some mini skeins, like mini hand-dyed skeins, and so I found this set from a brand called Castle View Yarns, and this is the Mermaid Minis, which is merino DK 100% superwash merino, and it comes with like a undyed hank, and then some mini ones as well. So I'm hoping to do some sort of like stripy hat or stripy top, kind of maybe a bit of a scrappy project with those. I'm going to keep it in the bag because I don't want to forget what the label is of that, and that fits quite nicely at the end there. I reckon I could get a few more in there. So in here I'm also going to place some other yarn that I really don't want getting ruined. This is my first ever Isia yarn purchase. This is Isia Jensen yarn. I have 3 of these. I've got 4 of them, but one of them again is caked up because I swatched with it. And this is what I'm going to be using to make the Chunky Moulin cardigan by Lanit. First time using this beautiful 100% wool yarn. I've got a cat very curiously looking in my yarn box. So my dilemma now is, do I want to store this with the matching mohair so that I've got the whole project ready to go in one box? Because I have also got the mohair for it, which is from Knitting for Olive in the shade navy blue. So maybe actually that would be better off together in a separate box. But the fact that these are kind of the perfect width to put in here makes me think that maybe they should just go together in there. Let's see if this shuts. This doesn't fit as much as I thought it would, but there we go. I'm going to keep the Isia Jensen in there for now, and I'm going to start another box full of Knitting for Olive. I placed a huge order on the Knitting for Olive website at the start, or no, it was at the end of last year, for loads of different projects. So I've got so many projects just ready to go, and I was storing them in this big box because I didn't have, like, they wouldn't fit into here and I didn't want moths to get into them anyway. But now that I've got these boxes, I'm going to transfer them all in. So we have got 5 balls of the Knitting for Olive Merino in the shade Cloud, and this was originally for my Monday sweater, but I've settled on a different colour now. But so I've got like a sweater's worth of the colour Cloud, which I know I definitely will use. I'm thinking I could make the terracotta sweater with that and a mohair. Oh, how's this for an angle? Because now you can see more of what I'm working with. I kind of like them stacked up like that rather than on top of each other. I have also got 5 balls of marzipan Knitting for Olive Merino, and this is slightly different to Cloud. This is marzipan and this is Cloud. So Cloud is slightly whiter and marzipan is slightly beiger. Cloud, I would say, still has like a pink tinge to it though. So yeah, I also have 5 balls of this, and this is because, again, I didn't know if I wanted that for my Monday sweater, but it's nice to have options. This is looking nice so far. It looks like I could open a little yarn shop. Love it. 5 balls of that, and they are getting a little bit squashed, but I'm hoping they will be okay in there. You want to get in here, don't you? My cat wants to get in the box. You're not allowed. I've got 3 balls of the Knitting for Olive Merino in the shade Hazel, which is this really beautiful brown. You're not getting in there, Maurice. Oh my god. I was going to hold those 3 balls together with these 3 balls of the Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the shade Dark Mousse to make a sleeveless vest. I haven't decided on the pattern. Oh, I did decide on a pattern, but I can't quite remember what the pattern was. Let me have a look. Oh, it was for a vest called the Juno top or the Olive top or T number 1 or the very V-neck raglan. So I've got 4 options for that, and enough quantity for all of those patterns there, so whatever takes my fancy when it comes to knitting that up. This again is nearly full, so I definitely need more boxes. This is not going well. And then I also have some leftover merino from my Salty Days sweater. You guys are gonna laugh at me because if you watch my Salty Days sweater project vlog, which I'll link, I played like the biggest game of yarn chicken. I ran out of mohair and merino, placed an order, got more merino, but it was in a different dye lot, so then had to message them and wait ages for Knitting for Olive to send me the old dye lot. Anyway, after all that faff, I looked in this cupboard and I found an extra ball of each. I'm such an idiot. Because I put them in here and I didn't think I would have put them in here, I just completely forgot about them. So I've actually got 4 balls of limestone left, but 2 are in the old dye lot and 2 are in the new dye lot, and there is a colour difference. So I'm gonna have to use these either for separate projects or, I don't know, like a very slight variation, or maybe a smaller accessory. But I have got 4 balls of those. I'm not sure if anyone wants to buy these off me, let me know, because I just don't know what I'm going to do with only 2 balls of each. But I wonder if I could squeeze them in there. I could definitely open a shop right now. This makes me very happy. I have got so much more knitting for Olive, but these are all kind of full projects that I already have planned, so I think maybe they can go on top. So this is what I'm using for my cognac sweater, which I'm currently knitting up at the moment. It's the Knitting for Olive Merino in the undyed shade. There we go. I've got 3 balls left of that. And the mohair for my Monday sweater is going to be Knitting for Olive soft silk mohair in the shade undyed. So I can place those on top. I feel like I am missing a mohair there. That's a little bit worrying, because I feel like the Monday sweater maybe calls for 5 balls and I've only got... Oh, I do have 5 balls. It's because I used one to swatch with. That's a relief. So there is another box done. I only have 2 more of these boxes left. But as long as all the like special yarn is popped into here. Oh, also I'm going to open this and add some bags in now. Whoa! All my knitting is going to really smell like lavender. I'm just going to pop a bag into each of these. I have still got some more knitting for Olive, so I'm going to quickly add this in. I've got the mohair for my Chunky Moulin cardigan in the navy shade. Put that in here. I've also got 2 balls of the navy merino for my mixed rib cami, which I'm knitting on. I've got 2 balls left from vest number 8, which I'm currently working on, so I'll put those in there. I've just remembered I've got another bag of yarn upstairs. I'm gonna go get that now. Okay, in August last year, for some yarns for a two very specific projects, I am knitting the Jus sweater, which you will have seen in my knitting podcast recently, and for that I'm using Sadness Gone Sunday in the shade white, and I'm holding it with Drops Kid Silk in the shade Chalk. So I'm just going to pop those together there. And then I'm also going to be knitting the blouse number 1 by My Favourite Things Knitwear, pattern that I've wanted to make for about a year now. And for that I've bought Knitting for Olive Pure Silk in the shade Cream. I've got 4 balls of this. I haven't swatched for it yet. And I think you hold it double. But yeah, I bought this all from the Oxford Yarn store, which was such a nice like solo day out exploring Oxford, and just the best yarn store. Who would have thought? I've still got some room in here, so I think on top I'm going to place maybe some balls of the cakes that I've already got wound up. Is that going to fit? Oh, I've got another Sunday there. I've already, by the way, documented all of this on Ravelry, so I don't need to worry about that. For here, I basically just want like all the yarn together for all the projects, because I don't want another repeat of thinking that I've run out when in fact I haven't. So I just want to make sure that I've got everything together. And that and that. Okay, this is a chunky box. Is this gonna fit? It's a squash, but it fits. So I've got 1 box now. Oh no. 1 box and all of this. I think in my last box I'm going to place, I think I want to keep this kind of safe, because this feels like something moths might eat and it takes up a lot of room in this cupboard when it shouldn't have to. So This is a fashion alpaca superfine heavens from a brand called Rico Design. I purchased this from a yarn store in London called Sharp Works, which I think is in Herne Hill. I got a sweater's quantity of this, and this was my first time purchasing yarn without a project in mind, which was quite an expensive impulse purchase, but I am really excited to knit something with this. I bought enough to make a kind of small, maybe cropped jumper. It is just the fluffiest, prettiest, kind of variegated yarn. It's got loads of greens and pinks and purples and peaches in it. Really looking forward to making that, and oh my god, look how much room that takes up. This yarn is so chunky. Maybe, no, it wouldn't be better flat, because then that leaves no room for anything else. What else am I worried about getting ruined? Maybe this. This is a purchase that my husband made for my birthday. He bought me some yarn, which is so nice of him. He bought me 2 balls of Gepard Puff, which is the coolest, like, blown yarn. It's blue but with a white kind of coat. I can't really describe it. But I'm going to make a hat with this, and I don't want this getting eaten by moths, so I'm going to stick it in here. Alongside, he also bought me this Gepard Puno, which is a 68% baby alpaca and merino, and he bought me 1 ball of this. So either good for an accessory, maybe a headband or a hat. I don't know if I'll have enough of a hat, but I guess I could hold it with something else, because this feels very similar to Drops Air actually. And he also bought me this amazing yarn by Lana Grosser. It's the Lala Berlin Flamey, and it's the coolest yarn. It's like got different like widths on it, so I don't know how it's been spun, but some of it is really thin and other bits, like you can see there, are really chunky, and it knits up into a really fun piece. So I think maybe again another accessory, or maybe I could hold it, like do something with these together. I'm not entirely sure, but again I don't want this getting eaten by moths because it's a special one, so put that in there. I have also got a lot of very beautiful glitter yarn that I purchased along the way, so I would quite like maybe to store these all together. I don't think this is something that moths would particularly eat. I have a ball of Cashmere Classic from Gepard, which I bought in Copenhagen. I'll put that in here because I don't want that getting ruined. And I've also got a ball of Filcolana Alva, which I'm going to use to make the penny gloves by Petite Knit. I've got the other ball currently on the needles at the moment, although I was having a bit of a problem with magic loops, so I'll put that one here too. I think now I should probably pull all this out and try and put it in some sort of better order. Oh, I wish I had more of those storage boxes, because they would have been so handy right now. Okay, what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to photograph these and add it to my Ravelry, and then we can think about storage. Whoa, oh my god, I thought I had way more of this. Oh, it's because I used it. Okay, can we just talk about the problem I have with Drops Air? So I've got a lot of Drops Air, I've just counted, and I've got 30 balls, which is insane. They're all in different colours. I did have plans for them all. So with these darker grey ones, this is the shade 04, I think it's medium grey. I was going to make, I've got 5 balls, and I was going to make the Louisiana jumper by Petite Knit. I've already made it in this, where is it? This white like grey white shade, and I used, I think I've got 2 balls of this left over, so I must have used 3 balls for the Louisiana sweater. I'm definitely gonna have some of this left over. Now that I've made a Louisiana sweater, I'm thinking of maybe making something a little bit different, but that's what that was originally for. 2 balls left over from the other one I've made. These 2, this is the shade 37 amazing bright blue shade. I was going to make myself a beanie hat. I absolutely love the idea of wearing like pops of colour with my accessories rather than just in my outfits. So I have got 2 balls that I dedicated towards that, but then I've also got another 2 balls because I was going to make myself a bonnet with this. So I've now got 4 balls of this. I've started on my hat. I can show you here. I needed the needles, so I took it off, but I think I cast on for the Winter Smiles hat, which is a free hat pattern on the Drops website. It's specifically using Drops Air on quite a small gauge, so I'm just doing the ribbing for that here. That's kind of off the needles at the moment because I've got other stuff that I wanted to work on first. I've got 2 balls of this burgundy red left over from my kind of self-drafted bell sleeve jumper. I've also made a hat with the yarn that I had left over from that, and I've still got 2 balls left, so I could definitely de-stash these. I don't think I'm going to be using them anytime soon, so maybe I need another box for just like yarn that I can give away or sell. Am I going to need this one day? I don't think so. I'm going to put it in this big box for now. Then I purchased loads of Drops Air because I want to make my own bonnet pattern. I've got a really cool idea for a bonnet, and I wanted it to be beginner friendly, and I wanted it to be with yarn that is affordable and that you could get in the UK, because I know a lot of my subscribers are kind of new to knitting. So I basically made a massive purchase for Drops Air so I could make loads of different samples of my bonnet pattern. Still haven't got round to doing that yet. I've got half a bonnet made, but I've got all these beautiful colorways that I was really excited to use. This like pistachio green. The bonnet would take 2 balls of Drops Air, which is why I've got so much of this. I was gonna like hold this pink and this purple together to make a bonnet. I was gonna hold together like a white yellow to make the bonnet. So I've got loads of different Drops Air options here, and I just haven't got round to making any of those hats yet. So at some point I will, but for now I think I'm quite happy to have Drops Air having its own little shelf moment in here, because I've got a lot of it and I kind of like how it will look. So I'm just adding all of these different colours to my stash, and then I can get on with reorganising. God, I feel like I'm getting ill all of a sudden. Maybe it's because I'm talking a lot. What am I going to do with these? Meanwhile, there is a cat in the box. Maurice, you're on all my yarn. Can you not? Oh my god, no. Maurice, no. Oh my god. Having a cat is the best thing. Look at him. He looks so chilled in there. But my yarn is all down there and he won't let me grab it. No. Oh my god, it's like a little troll under the bridge, but instead it's a yarn collector in a box. Hey. Okay, my next shelf is kind of like a skinny one. There's not very much room in here. So on this shelf I just had loads of like acrylic yarns that I wanted to, like very affordable acrylics that I wanted to use for crochet. And there are some specific projects in here, but first let me chat through I've got a sweater's quantity of this Wool and the Gang Shiny Happy Cotton, 100% cotton yarn, and I got this to make, they had an amazing like crochet rainbow zigzag jumper. I'll put a picture up here. So I got these, it's like a pride jumper basically, and I really wanted to make it, so I bought these beautiful colours, but I can't crochet. I've tried to teach myself this pattern and I kept getting so confused, but I do really want to make that at some point, so maybe I make a knitted version instead if I can find a similar pattern. But yeah, I'm looking forward to using these yarns because they feel really lovely, so they could go on this middle shelf, or maybe some mohairs could go on this shelf. I think mohairs would go well because this shelf is not very strong. Like it's a weak it's a weak shelf, so maybe some like light mohairs, because I've got a lot of like brushed alpaca silk also from Drops, that I still haven't put on my Ravelry. And then I've also got lots of like random Drops Flora. I've got some Drops Charisma here in different colours, more Drops Flora. I've got some Drops Saffron, which is 100% cotton. I think when I first started knitting, I bought this on eBay. I don't have any idea what I'm going to do with that. The Drops Flora, these particular shades were for a pair of colourwork mittens. I really wanted to make either the Songbird mittens, or there was this really beautiful pattern that was kind of like snowflake vibes, so I purchased these for that, but I haven't got around to knitting that yet. Ooh, I found another Drops Air black one. That's cool. I think I'm gonna make myself a black hat, like a beanie. Is there room to squeeze that? I'm like squeezing any of the duplicates back there. We've got this Drops brushed alpaca silk, which I purchased to match this grey to make the Louisiana sweater. This is in the shade 2. Also, just for reference, Drops Flora, I don't think I've used this before, but it's 65% wool, 35% alpaca. And then also I've got some Drops Charisma. This is a superwash treated wool, 100% wool. And I bought some of these also to make myself a hat. I really wanted like a navy beanie, and I thought that would look really cool, but like I feel like I've made everyone a hat apart from myself. I've made myself one hat which is slightly too small for me, so that is something that I really want to do this year, make myself some hats. And hats are great to work up on a train on the London Underground, so yeah, I'm not worried about that. I've got some more Drops Charisma here in like a dark grey, kind of like a mulled grey, and that was also for a hat. This was actually an experiment for a hat for my dad, but he wanted like a pure black hat rather than a grey, so I've got enough to make myself a hat. Oh my god, I definitely feel like I'm getting ill right now. And then I've got a couple of Drops Melody. I'm making a top at the moment, like a stripy open gauge long sleeve top called the Sin Sweater. I talk about that a little bit in my knitting podcast. And I've also got Drops Melody left over from my Cardi de Coeur rainbow cardigan, which I absolutely love. So yeah, I've just got some like leftovers here. Oh, I've also got this beautiful yarn. So this was my first ever luxury yarn purchase from like a knitting shop, like an actual shop rather than online, which is where I get most of my yarn from. I can't remember what yarn store this was from. It was like one of the first ones I ever went to. It might have been, oh, I remember. It's one in Clerkenwell, like, it's called Stash London, and it's like Farringdon, Clerkenwell area. And I picked up this, it was my first ever skein or like hank of yarn. It's from a brand called Earth Yarns, like that. And this is a fingering weight, 100% superwash extra fine merino. In 100 grams you get 434 yards or 400 meters. So this is enough for me to make a little summer tank top in this really beautiful, it's a plant-based dyed yarn, and I'm really looking forward to using this. This was £18.25, so yeah, this might be one of the most expensive yarns I've ever purchased, and I knew that I would at some point use a nice black yarn. I'm going to put this in one of my clear crates because I don't want that getting ruined. Okay, so what do we think? Do we think like cute, or do we think like cute? I think it might have to be a mix of both. But then also, let me show you all this. So my husband bought me a crochet pattern. It's called the rat dissection pattern. I've got it here. He bought me this rat dissection, and it's a crochet pattern, and you make like a little rat and you make all of his organs. He bought me this for my birthday and he really wants me to make it. I've got everything I need for it now. So for that, you need like loads of different yarns, loads of different colours. This is, by the way, from a designer called Cottontail Whiskers. It's super cute. I went on Wool Warehouse and I just purchased the smallest yarns that I could find in the colours that I needed. So I've got quite a lot of this Sidar Happy Cotton, double knitting, 20 gram a ball, which is 47 yards, and like the amount you need for all of the organs of the rat isn't very much, so I just bought these because they were kind of affordable. And then some like little random skeins as well. I've got some drops saffron for that in quite a few shades, and then I've got loads of this yarn that was super cheap. It's like £2 for loads of these kind of pastel shades. And when I first started knitting, I bought this set from a store called The Range, and I didn't have a plan for this. I just wanted to like experiment, but I feel like that could be like a really cute baby hat, like a stripy rainbow pastel baby hat, so I'd quite like to keep those together as well. I'm just going to start placing some yarn in here and we will see what we end up with. I might listen to a little audiobook whilst I do this actually, because there is a lot to sort out. Okay, we are, I think, getting there. I am just logging some of this glitter yarn into Ravelry. I thought I'd show them because they're so beautiful. So this is another one that my husband got me for my birthday last year. It's Lang Yarns Palettes, and it's metallic thread with these tiny sequins in. It's so pretty. This is in like a gold shade. I've got 25 grams of that. And then I have this one that I bought in Copenhagen. This is the Mondial Scintilla in a gold shade. I've got 2 of these, which I think is enough for like a cardigan or a jumper. And then I've also got this, and I can't remember where I got this. Online perhaps. Yarn and Colours Glamour, again in like this very fine gold. And this seems a little bit splitty, so I'm not sure how that will work up. And then I've also got this from Drops. It's just called Drops Glitter, and it's a very fine glitter spoolie. This is enough for a couple of jumpers, but I'm not sure I would recommend it. I've worked with it before. It is kind of just like plastic. These ones feel, especially this one, feels a lot more like wool. Even though it is plastic, it feels a lot softer, whereas this is just kind of a scratchy plastic. And as you can see, it's coming together. I'm very nearly there now. What I am going to do is add some lavender bags in here. I did actually have these like moth repellent pads, and you stick them in and they last for 3 months, and you'll know when you need to replace it because you can read the word end. I don't know if you can see that, but it says end in there, which means it isn't working anymore. But I thought that's just like so much plastic. I want something maybe a little bit more better for the environment. So yeah, which is why I went for these little bags, which hopefully I can refill with lavender. We grow lavender in our garden, so hopefully I can refill when I need to. So I'm just going to stash couple of these in here, but it's looking great. So on the top level here we have all of my drops air. This is all of it, very nicely organized. I like how you can't see the labels. And then going down we've got all of my kind of colourful DK weight yarn, just a selection of rainbow shades. And then so this is the drops flora, this is just some of the kind of more acrylic crochet materials, cotton. And then I've got my drops charisma here ready for some hat making. And then one row down we've got the Wool and the Gang cotton. We've got all of my drops brushed alpaca silk here. This navy is to match the navy drops charisma here to make a hat. We've got some drops melody and some drops kid silk up the top. And then we've got some chunky kind of bigger skeins of yarn. These are just a couple of like massive balls of DK which I purchased for hat bubbles. Don't know if you can see that down here. So yeah, I am, whoa! So I'm just gonna pack up my glitters into this little paper bag that I got from the Wild and Woolly shop in Clapton. I am going to make a video about all the yarn stores in London because I think I've been to all of them now. I've got 2 that I haven't been to, so once I've been there I can film that video for you. And then really it's just kind of like scrappy yarns that I'm kind of struggling to place. I have got, at the moment I've got all of my kind of leftover scraps in this basket here, but as you can see it's kind of bursting at the seams and not the most organised. I've got like a project bag here which has some yarn that I don't know needs to find a better home. I've got some Sadness Garn Tin Lena, which is the linen blend wool from that left over from my Audrey top that I'd quite like to use in something else. I've got some heavy merino from Knitting for Olive left over from my Yoon sweater. So yeah, I've just got like loads of little skeins left over. I'm not really quite sure what to do with, so I think maybe I just try and go through this and slimline. So these big boxes, which are all nice and full and organised now, I'm going to be putting in these cupboards here, which used to store all my yarn before we got that cabinet. But at the moment, as you can see, it's a little bit of a mess. Got my row counter there. I've got some, like a very old project back there. So I think what I'm going to do is pull all of this out. It's quite a nice size cupboard. I've got my nail varnish and stuff in it here. I'm going to pull all of this out and maybe have a rearrange because we've also got wine in here as well. Some booze. And have a bit of a sort out. Okay, another update. I was just not sure what to do with all my scraps. So I've just proper geeked out and been super organised. Basically organised them into these bags that I've tried to flat pack, but they keep filling up with air. Whoa, there we go. So that I want them to be flat. So we've got one full of drops air scraps. And if I fold that, I mean, I'm guessing that means it's not airtight if they are filling up with air again. And then I've got some lace weight mohair yarns. That I say lace weight, but I've also got some drops brushed alpaca silk in there. I've got drops melody and more like chunky Aran weight scraps. And then finally I've got my more luxury yarn scraps that I've just put together. So these are left over from my porcelain sweater, my Audrey top and my Yoon sweater. So yarn from Knitting for Olive and Sadness Garn. So because I reckon I could probably do something with these. This might have been a bit of a waste of time, but it's made me realise that I definitely don't have enough scraps yet to make a scrappy like mohair top, which is what I really wanted to do. So I'm going to have to use up quite a little bit more of that before I can start working on my proper scrappy project. Feels good to have organised all of that, and I'm just putting them back into this wicker basket. I've also got some like DK scraps that I'm just going to squash on top. Well, that is, at least that's super organised, and I can keep adding to that, which feels good. And then I've just put all of my whips into this basket, which was originally in that cupboard. So now I've got a little bit of a whip station in here. Got some super old projects that I forgot I even started in there. I'll put a little lavender bag back in there as well. I found some buttons that I forgot I had. I got these from Hobbycraft, and these were for a project that I've kind of given up on, but they are cute. I do need to go button shopping at some point to get some buttons for my vest number 8, which is nice. Maybe we can go out next week and get some of those. I'm feeling very positive about this now. I feel so organised. Everywhere's kind of got a home. This is the only yarn that I haven't been able to fit anywhere, so I'm just going to pop that up there. Put another lavender bag in there. And let me show you my cupboard. Then here in the cupboard, I have had a bit of a rearrange. I worked out that I can stack 2 boxes at the top, but I can't at the bottom. But the bottles don't stand on the bottom. So I've moved the bottles to one side. I've got the yarn that I'm going to reach for the quickest kind of up here. I've got my yarn winder and also a hanger that I like to take pictures of my whips on. And then the yarn that I am waiting for, like, yeah, a good moment to cast these projects on, so I don't need to access to them quite so quickly. So this is, yeah, I feel good about this. I feel like it's nice and protected. I'll chuck some more lavender bags in there as well. I have to ignore all the mess up here. I do have one of these moth traps up here. These, I've been doing some research about these, and apparently they actually like attract moths. But they don't attract female moths, which are the ones that you need to be aware of. These traps attract male moths, so they're a good indicator if you have a problem, because you'll know that you'll be able to see that you've got moths. But it's the women ones that you need to look out for, because they're the ones that lay eggs, and it's not actual adult moths that eat your clothes and your wool. It's the eggs that eat your wool. Apparently they don't like spaces that are kind of touched, so the more I kind of go in here like I have been and like moving things around and just keeping an eye on it, I think I should be fine. Also, it's in an area that is kind of gets a lot of movement past it, so hopefully it will be okay. But I hope you have enjoyed this video and liked seeing in-depth look at my yarn stash and some of the projects that I've got coming up. I'm so glad that this is nice and organised now. I'm hoping to keep on top of it. There are a couple of yarn purchases I do want to make, and then I am definitely on the yarn buying ban, because as you can see, I've got a lot of projects that are ready and waiting to go, and I would love to get some of those off my needles before I make any more big purchases. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this, please be sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think I should do with all this drops there. If I am not going to make a bonnet, which I am going to do, I'm hoping to get that out in the autumn, ready for the colder season. So I've got quite a while to work on that. But what would you guys do with all of this drops there? Do let me know. Lots of love. Mwah.